right. Hey, everybody, we are live. Welcome to Comic Core Unlimited. And John, you ready to go?
I am ready to go, man. Thank you for coming, everybody. It's Wednesday night, new comic book day, best day of the week. We also have some incredible special guests that we're going to get here in just a second. But thank you for spending part of your Wednesday night here with us talking about funny books. We really appreciate you doing that. As always, I'm John of John's Comics with Kids. And then over here, we got Jason, Comics Misexplained, or the Noob Master. How you doing, bro?
Good, buddy. Yeah, I forgot I had that name. I had it from a show over the weekend. I forgot to switch it over. My bad.
Stick with it. Stick with what works. Of course, on this side, we got JD Comics. How you doing, man?
Good seeing everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Let me see if I can make this a little better.
And then, of course, we have our two guests down over here. See, where is it? Over here, we got Ace Nuckolls from the Comic Den. How you doing, sir? Thank you for joining us.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys.
And then let's see, this side over here, Brady Bunch style, we got Chris. Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Very cool. So we are excited. So how do we start this off every week? Let's talk about what we've been reading.
I'm going to jump into the chat. I'm going to say a little hello to everybody, and then we'll get into our reading list, what we've been reading this week. Hope everybody's having a good pickup day for Wednesday, getting some good books. We had a huge tailgating group hanging out before the show went live, waiting for the show. Chris Barrett, Mr. Gretzky, chatting it up. Jason jumped in there with them. Ben Compton, TJ, the Slab Dragon, Watson, the champion of slabbing books. There was a great show with him this week discussing about slabbing on JP's channel. You should check it out. It was a really good discussion. Chad, Comic Core Chad, is in the chat. Richie Taylor, the other Chad, 90 Miles from Comics, is in here. Perry Comics, the boy who had 7, Matt, is in the chat. My good friend, Old Wolf, Tony's in the chat. J Hood Creative is in the chat. Thank you guys for coming by. Discovery Bay has discovered us. Really do appreciate people coming by to hang out with us, to hear us talk a little bit about comics, and then we're going to get into a really cool Kickstarter and a comic that's going to be coming out that you guys can really get a little brief view of, because we all got a chance to read it early, and we were really lucky to do so. I'm going to jump us to Jason first. Jason, what's the record you got hanging out behind you tonight?
All right. Yeah, man. I got yesterday, the day before, I brought this band to Pittsburgh called Fister. I've known them for years, but this is like one of their earlier releases. It's a 12-inch, number 30 out of 100, very small limited release for this album. Now they're playing like festivals and stuff, so it's really cool to have them play Pittsburgh again. It's been a while, been a couple years. But it's really cool. Like this side, I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's like really etched with like a sigil on there, which is kind of neat. And then it's a reverse groove record, so like it plays backwards. You got to play it from like the inside out. I didn't know that at first. That's awesome. It really does. Yeah. So like when you put it on the end, it just like repeats the last line, and it just goes like Satan is real, Satan is real. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty badass. But yeah, so it's like one of my favorite records that I got to snag. But yeah, man.
And what have you been reading? I know you didn't have a whole lot of reading time this week. Anything good that you had a chance to enjoy?
I kind of enjoyed Detective Comics. I love Batman. But the cover was misleading. It shows Mr. Freeze on there, but it was like a Deadshot issue. So and then like the last page or two was Mr. Freeze, but so that was kind of off-putting. Kind of didn't expect that to happen.
Was it a variant cover or was it a normal cover?
No, the normal cover, the A cover was Mr. Freeze. Yeah.
Usually they do.
Right. Yeah, totally. I read Fantastic Four, so I wanted to see how the fight played out between Thing and Hulk. Yeah. And of course, Hulk's being controlled by Puppet Master, and in the end, the Thing comes through. He uses heart to beat Hulk. The immortal beast. Yeah, and kind of like smashes his arm up pretty well, but knocks out Hulk, and then Hulk was controlled by Puppet Master. He snaps out of it, goes back to Puppet Master, and breaks his hands and bones, which is a pretty cool ending. But yeah, so I mean that was all right. I was in the middle of reading Loki before we started. Our friend Daniel Kibblesmith from last month that we interviewed here on the show, from Marvel, wrote Loki. Talked to him last month. It was awesome, great time. So issue 2 came out today. Everyone pick it up. It's awesome. I didn't get to finish it, but it was a good time. He's hanging out with Tony Stark. It had a lot of funny moments. He's a comedic writer, he writes for the Late Show and the Colbert Report. He's a great guy. So everyone check out.
You read that one, so I got to finish that one. The girl who figured it out.
I feel like I read more. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but maybe we'll come back to it later.
Nice.
Oh, also I want to shout out Gideon Falls. That's my favorite book on the shelf.
Yeah.
Here, a new issue came out today, and I'm pretty sure I'm all caught up. I just got to double check that before I continue. But it's great stuff.
Very good.
What about you, JD? What have you been reading, man?
Well, this time around, I was able to catch up on a lot of stuff from last time. So the Silver Surfer Black, I liked it a lot. I'm not going to
get the camera back on you, brother.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm in charge of that now. Sorry about that. So one of the I did like the Silver Surfer Black. I thought it was really good. Absolute Carnage. I mean, Drew did a great job on that one, and we had him on last week discussing that and House of X, how Marvel's been playing that up pretty good.
Dude, Powers of 10, the new one today was so good. That was amazing.
That's where it's going right now. I think those are the only three I'm going to continue. My pull list has shrunk a lot after War of the Realms, which was a great one, but it was a lot. It was a lot of books, short time. I mean, reading every one of those tie-ins like I did and everything else, I kind of decided that I'm going to stick to a few there. Of course, any Thor, any Silver Surfer, any Avengers is going to be there. Though I did catch up on bought the trade of the Doctor Strange recent run, and it's much better than people it's better than advertised. It's really good. The new Doctor Strange run with the Galactus and everything. I think
I really want to read that stuff. I read like kind of it when it started, and I kind of dropped off, but I really want to read it now.
Yeah, I'm working on my next Jason. I think Jason, he's got the next Old Man Thor or whatever coming out, and I know it's not called Old Man Thor. I'm just calling it that because Marvel said everything Old Man, Old Man Quill, Old Man.
Hey, that just means I have to read it. In that book.
Let's call it it is, Old Man Thor, and they're gonna do King Thor, and I'm real excited because I love Jason Aaron. As you guys know, War of the Realms was the event of the summer, so to speak, and so that was pretty much it. And I also caught up on reading an old Silver Surfer. Here it is. This is an underrated series they do in the annotated. I recommend you get them. Just an informational piece. It's like an encyclopedia.
The Marvel's run, right? The Ross run.
Yes. I mean, this is good stuff. I mean, first of all, you got a tremendous cover here. I believe that's Alex Ross. Yeah. And actually, this is Delato. The other one is Ross. I have both, but this is just ridiculous. And just the artwork inside is all Alex Ross through and through.
Oh, so good.
So I recommend you pick these up. They're worth it. That's about it.
Do we want to jump over to one of our guests? Ace, have you been reading anything good lately? Anything this last week, Ace, that you've enjoyed?
I mean, like I said, during the summer I teach, so during the summer I got nothing.
Yeah, man, so I love it. That's the same way.
Just been reading. So just sitting here on my table in front of me, I've got Donny Cates' run on Venom.
So good.
Yeah.
I've got Aquaman. Can you guys hear me? Did I go out? Okay. Something beeped at me. I got Jeff Johns' run on Aquaman. The Last Batman Damned, Superman Year One. I just finished Volume 2 of East of West.
Love Hickman.
Yeah, I've been diving into Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers, and I'm getting ready to reread through the Secret Wars.
Awesome.
So just trying to really hit the trades. It just gives me a giant chunk of reading instead of waiting week to week. I mean, I have a giant pull list anyway, but that's just kind of standard stuff like Batman, Superman, Detective Comics. Nice. So just kind of your standard fare there, but I've really been trying to get back into some trades so I can get some older stuff too.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, as a teacher, I'm right there with you, man. Summer is the best time to catch up on good reading.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, if you're getting into the Hickman, you're getting into the Secret Wars. There's I think that's an underrated run in Hickman with obviously East of West. You brought up that one, and Hickman's now doing fantastic. House of 10, right?
Yeah.
Is it House of 10? House of X?
House of X,
House of X
Powers of
and
X.
Powers of X.
Power 10, yeah.
It's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, he's back. I'm glad he's back. This is something that I well earned because since that New Avengers run, I haven't really gotten into much Hickman. So
Yeah, so the good thing I like about writers like Hickman or Kirkman or Jason Aaron, Tom King, they have what I call the long con. So, I mean, if they're going to write a story, then they're going to write the crap out of that story, and it's going to be 100, 200 issues long. So I would much rather have a story that stretches out for years than a 6-issue story here and then a whole different 6-issue story here. So yeah, I mean, I'll read just about anything with Hickman's name on it.
Yeah, same.
yeah,
I love his Black Monday Murders. I say that every week. That's like my favorite book ever.
nice.
Nice.
Chris, you want to share anything you've wanted to read, or you read?
I am also a teacher. All these teachers together. I
Nice.
teach art. So I've been I'm not quite as up to date, cutting edge as you guys, and I also read a lot for the art. But Headlopper is something that I've really been into lately. The 3rd trade is about to come out, I believe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So
Yeah.
if you guys Headlopper with Andrew McLean. And there's another one. I really love the artist Trad Moore. You guys familiar with Trad
Oh
Moore?
yeah, he's doing Silver Surfer Black right now.
So he blows my mind. So I'm reading The New World right now, and that's just amazing. So
He's doing the new Silver Surfer, and I'm very pleased.
I didn't even know that. I should jump on that. Yeah.
So good.
It's written by Donny Cates too. So
Okay, so that's next up on my list then.
Silver Black, yeah, it's really good.
And I'm also catching up on Ryan Otley's Amazing Spider-Man. He's my favorite comic artist of all time. So I'm like a huge Invincible fan. So
Invincible's so good.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite comic book ever.
Nice.
So you can see some of the graphic violence in our Magnus. It's entirely because of Ryan Otley.
Yeah. So, John, you want to close out the reading list?
Yeah, you guys are all shouting out some great stuff, and I have a little mix of new and old as well here. So this is Trad Moore's cover. I loved his cover A this week for Silver Surfer Black, like just psychedelic awesome, and it is an amazing read. I've loved all 3 issues up to now. It's just amazing, absolutely awesome.
Norrin Rad's Surf Shop, man. I want to start a segment called Norrin Rad's Surf Shop. We just talked.
That's hysterical. Yeah. And then I read Reaver issue 2, goes with issue 1. We're talking about that on book club tonight, so that was high on my list of reads. And I love a good fantasy story, and this fit into that perfectly. So I got the Beast cover for Powers of 10 issue 2. Which, like Jason said, this storyline is really, really amazing. I don't know if it might be my least favorite. It's definitely the wordiest. The beginning is amazing. It tapers off a little at the end, so I gotta read it a second time.
Oh, it's so good all the way through, man.
Well, after last week's book, which was like, I don't know how you top last week's book. It was so good.
Did you get the Hickman Krakoan language key?
I did. Several people have posted it. It's really kind of cool. I haven't used it to like break down anything yet.
I used this issue at the end, because at the end there's always 2 pages of Krakoan language. I forgot what it said. It was nothing too important, but it's kind of like I think a hint of what the next issues are going to be.
It's kind of the fun of it, right?
Oh, it's so fun.
And I've really been enjoying the Catwoman run that Joel Jones has been doing. She's taken a story break because she's going to come back and do the art again and the story. She was doing the interior art, story, and cover A. Mirka Andolfo is doing this issue, but this is one of my favorite art journals.
Yeah, art journal beauty.
Gotta love the Batman animated series.
Even though I'm not the biggest Stanley Lau fan, I will say there are a few that I do like. The Jane Foster Thor is still.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was
my favorite single one. But then this Catwoman run, it's been lights out.
Yeah, I mean he's been nonstop on that run. I think that's what separates him from a lot of his other covers. He does one-offs, one issue. It's Archer, but in Catwoman, it's every one, and I think that's something to be said about that.
Yeah. Well, and I like Mirka Andolfo, the artist, as well. And so I'm kind of pumped that she's doing this next storyline that leads into what Joelle's going to do next. So I was digging that. A lot of people recommended this as a jumping on point for the new Justice League.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked you got it.
This is freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
Dude, Jarro wearing the Robin costume.
Dude, Jarro is the best Robin.
Jarro,
That's
the
Robin.
villain. There's like this baby version, Jarro, and he thinks he's like the new Robin. So he's like running around in Robin's costume. And he tells the entire story here. I was laughing like consistently through this. If you can find it at your shop, it's not a key, Justice League number 29. You could totally jump on right here. I was dying. This came out last week, and I just got around to reading it. And my girls were reading it, and they thought it was funny. It was great.
Oh, it's so good.
I like the setup, John.
I was laughing my butt off. Totally funny.
I love that he calls Batman Dad all the time.
Oh, he totally, yeah.
Batman finally embraced it. Oh, I love it. So good.
It's too funny. The whole thing. I finished the second trade of Oblivion Song, which has been great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's better than the first storyline. So we were talking about, Kirkman earlier. I really love it way more than I cared about Walking Dead. I like Oblivion Song.
Oh, I'll say, like I say it every week. I mean, I'll say it again. Thief of Thieves is still his best work, and I swear by it. It was a long-running series that people wouldn't jump on. Still out there, still going on. Good one.
John, was that one with the cliffhanger with the aliens at the end?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, so good.
Oblivion Song is my second favorite Kirkman work.
I've got to read that one then because I haven't read that. I've just really done a few like Invincible, Oblivion Song, and Walking Dead. Walking Dead just wasn't. I mean, I read a few trades, just wasn't my thing as much as this. I love this concept. And Jason and I are going to chat about this at some point next week, hopefully. The first trade in Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. The storyline Coward was lights out, but we'll get into detail on that coming up soon. I've never really read this story.
Hey, that's old. I read that. That's from 14.
Oh, yeah. This is OG. This is the original trade for the story.
2014? Yeah, I think it's 2014.
I don't know what year. Let's see here. 2007, first published.
Wow.
So I told you, I got a little old, a little new. I'm trying to catch up.
Good stuff. Because any of that old Brubaker stuff, like I like the old Criminal and his Captain America run, obviously.
So, shout out to Take the Time Collectibles. I reviewed Criminal #1 for book club one week, and I kept saying, I kind of get it. I dig the style. I'd rather read it from the beginning. Dude, he sent me all the trades as a gift.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I've got all the trades for Criminal, and I've wanted to read them. And then Jason was like, dude, we should read this together.
Yeah, so I got the 2 hardcovers.
We're going to have like a Criminal book club.
Dude, yes. I'm so stoked.
So I'm fully ready for that. Okay. And then lastly, I picked up at the library the Brian Azzarello storyline Joker, which is kind of like the other half to Batman Damned. Now that
I say they're yin and yang almost.
Oh my gosh, there's so many great pairings between this storyline and Batman Damned. If you were a big Batman Damned fan and you'd never read Azzarello and Bermejo's Joker run, you're missing the other half of the story because it's like all the Joker and none of the Batman until the very end versus the other way around for Batman Damned where you get all the Batman and then the Joker pops in at the end. So if you dug either one, they're just the pieces that go together.
Yeah, writing was, I think Damned is much better. I think it's a deeper storyline. It's not so much surface level as a Joker was kind of like a little corny and a little cheesy, kind of like, hey, Goodfellas, and I'm kind of trying to be edgy,
Scare the crap out of me a couple times in there.
Dude, it's still good though, man. Oh, that art is incredible. Bermejo is just so good.
Lights out.
It's worth a read.
I want to shout out a few people that jumped in since we got started. Mr. Garrell came by and Whitewell Comics. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciating it. Bake the Snake is in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit. Chris Barrett has been chatting this whole time. I really appreciate it. He is so unsung, just an awesome member of this community.
DS Comics is here.
Yep, yeah. DS was in here. Rag718. Rick Markstad is in the chat. Jack Yo. So thanks everybody for coming. That was our quick reading list, but I'm going to hand it over to jaydee because we're going to do something kind of fun for the second half of the show.
All right. So background on this one, I went to Planet Comic Con. You guys saw I was Pace Pop Pete. kind of doing the end of the joke and everything else. Did it at C2E2, and then next week, the following week, I said, I'll just do it again while I'm at Planet. And I did the same thing, walked around, got interviews and everything else. And I wanted to get independent, and I walked by and I saw this title book, and it was just like, it reminded me of like that Steranko Hulk, where it's coming down and it's like that, just bang, it's Magnus right here. So I went over and I asked a little bit about it. I said, hey, can I ask you a few questions about it? I found out he was a big Jason Aaron fan. And
friend for life right there.
Yeah, I tell everybody, I've got Scalped over here, Southern Bastard, I've got everything here, going through everything for people because I'm sending away some trades to somebody who wanted to know more about Jason Aaron. So anyway, so I met Ace, and Chris was, well, I guess, back to the left, but you were drawing. You were busy getting there, doing competitions or whatever. And I walked around and I met it, and I read the book and I really liked it. And I said, hey, I want to talk to this guy some more. Especially let us know when your issue number 2 is coming out. So I'm gonna ask the guys here if they want to trade off on each other. Tell me about how you two guys got together and created this, and what else you like, what your influences are, whatever you want to know. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about the dawn of Magnus.
So, funny story about our interaction to begin with is I went up there with Chris to Planet, and I didn't get a table that year because it sold out immediately, but I got in with Chris to help him out, and there's just an empty table behind us. And so the second day, I had set up on that table 5 minutes before you walked up, and we just kind of took it over because nobody showed up.
Awesome.
Like, all right, my table now. And it started out as a joke, and I just slowly started moving more and more Magnus stuff over because Chris is back there doing his thing. He's got a lot of prints that he sells, and so kind of the Magnus stuff was hard to get to because people come up and they want to look at the art, and then he has to try to segue to the comic. So we was like, let's just set everything up over here, and then you came up and interviewed me, and that was just my spot for the weekend.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Just claim the territory, like farming away. Put your flag down. This is mine now.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll get away with it next year, but
yeah, careful.
In
What
honor
you say.
of Comic-Con, I'm drinking the beer that everybody was drinking there. I'm sure you guys had some of this, huh? Now, you guys, I live in Nebraska, so going to Kansas City isn't that big of a deal. Speaking of Kansas City, our 80s movie of the week which is a new thing I wanted to do last time, Roadhouse. Definitely. On Netflix, go watch it sometime this week.
Pain don't hurt.
That's it. Name Dalton.
So I've told the story about how Chris and I have met like a million times, so I want to hear it from Chris's point of view this time.
So I got into the comic book industry, just like drawing and creating art, probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And one of my big things that I would make are these posters that I've been selling at Comic-Cons. Like, they're prints, but essentially what I did to start off was I would take like local sports heroes. It was particularly when like the Royals were winning the pennants in the World Series and stuff, and I would turn those players into like superheroes and then sell them to like kids and stuff. And so the way Ace found me is, I think he tracked me down and he had me do a Yadier Molina, the catcher from the Cardinals. And so we started as like a customer, like he was like a customer basis, and then he started coming up to Planet Comic-Con and then like Kansas City Comic-Con, and we just kind of hit it off, and we were just kind of we became friends, and he kind of helped me. I decided that along the way I wanted to like actually create a comic book. So the origin of Magnus was really kind of like my idea, and that's why I kind of say I'm the creator of it, even though Ace is the author now. And what it started as was I just wanted to like have a big muscly character. Like, my biggest influences are like Saturday morning cartoons and then mixed with gory anime, basically. So I wanted to have like a big hulking dude to draw in various poses, like slaughtering monsters and things like this, just like if I was bored at school or if I was making a poster. So I just developed this barbarian character because, like I was saying, the intention was just to like do him in different poses, ripping off a monster's eyelid or stabbing a dude in the head or something. And it became sort of like it caught a little fire online, and then Ace was sort of involved in this whole process, and then eventually we decided to like just turn it into a comic. And so we created a little backstory. We made like a little fairy tale. The original Magnus book is an illustrated almost like kids book. It's told as like a kid's book, but it's very violent and gory. So we started by doing that. The intention was just to like have a fun thing I drew. But then we did a Kickstarter for that and made I think we did like 250 copies and they sold out. And so people were really excited about it. So then it kind of evolved, and we decided, me and Ace were going to do like a little web comic. We're going to give it away for free. We're going to just do an action scene where Magnus and this Cyclops character, we're just going to kill an army. And it turned out it was so much fun to do it. And we're like 10 pages into our 4-page web comic. We're like, why don't we just roll this into a full comic? And so we made this like 40-page issue and threw that on Kickstarter, and it raised like $5,000, and we're only trying to make $1,000 to print. And then those all sold out. And so now we're like, that was like 1,000 issues. So now we have like this fan base we've accidentally generated. And then we kind of, now that we knew what we're doing with it, we've decided to really expand the story and make it something worth reading and not just an action sequence. Not to say issue 1 was very fun. I think it's a good story. But issue 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all going to be very complex. We're going to kind of pull some of Ace's Jason Aaron kind of Thor love in with my invincible cartoony violence. I think we have something really awesome. Did I miss anything there, Ace?
No, I mean, so whenever I read through issue 1, me and Chris are both kind of our own worst critics, but I love the story. It was so much fun writing, but I can definitely see how much both of us have grown from issue 1 to issue 2. And I was kind of telling you guys before we went live how we had one critic and we kind of had to put our big boy pants on. Well, like they gave us some honest criticism and like we really took it to heart. And so we're so excited for issue 2 to come out, just because we want to see if we did in fact step it up like we think we did. There's so much more story, so much more character development. And I don't think we sacrificed any of the ultra violent action scenes. I think even those got improved. So yeah, we're just super excited about it.
Can you share the link? Now, how long is your Kickstarter right now going for?
We've got 11 hours to go.
Okay. So we want to put that link in the chat. If you want to, you can IM me the link and I'll put it in the chat if you want.
All right. Let me, I'll just share it to you on
perfect.
Yeah.
Instagram.
So for those that are new to this,
if you go to Instagram, if you ever go to the Comic Dead on Instagram, and I have the, but there's a Kickstarter going on for issue number 2, which is, and it's got those tiers, and one of the tiers, some of the tiers are really good. I mean, all the prizes, like the awards you get are good, whether you get, the hard copy, your name in this or something like that drawn on, or something, all good stuff. You should check it out. Good.
Yeah, it's for those that don't know, there's a lot of great Kickstarters like this, but this is a really cool one that we've all had a chance to preview, and we're excited to bring to you. So you can go and support issue 2 of Magnus if you go on Kickstarter, you'll find it real easily.
Gotta love our person Paul.
It is fully funded already. We're about like 200% funded, so this will certainly get printed, and we've got enough momentum that our goal is to have like essentially like a 6-issue story arc that will be a completed story, but that'll also lead into an extended long-term comic if we feel like we're going to do that. And it seems like based on our core fan group, we're going to have no problem printing the 6 issue thing. So it's a
right there, that panel, that page is unreal. And I was talking about it before we went live. The color work is so spot on. And that's a light out drawing. Yeah, you get an idea of what you're in for right there.
Hey man, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. It's fun to draw. We're doing this for. Oh, and feel free to show the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like, okay, I should probably ask before I
go backwards and read the whole
time. Keep going. There's some more gory violence.
There's the one with that the question marks chopped in half. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's coming up.
I think I've shown that on
coming up in a few
I love this when he gets the berserker rage. It just kind of overcomes them, and just get the bloodlust just kind of covers him over, and that's kind of metaphorical there with all the blood, and there's like bring it on, let's go round 2. And you gotta love these fun character bad guys here.
I mean,
you see the Saturday morning cartoon influence.
you got
definitely.
Casey Jones, you got
Yeah.
Casey Jones, you got that. I think the biggest influence on the helmet. I don't know if there was that one Saturday morning cartoon. I'm trying to think that had the guy who was really bad. Like it wasn't the Claw from like Mask or something. He had a weird helmet like that, or maybe Spectre Gadget. That guy.
JD, you got the question mark. And
Oh,
then
Here comes the
you got the question mark cut in half.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Look at that. It's my favorite one right there. Every time I show that to anybody, I'm like, dude, you got to get this Kickstarter. This thing's great.
So, can I say, like, as somebody who hadn't experienced any of this before, and I kind of just really dove into it, I would say, like, the two things that I got right away. Obviously, there's definitely a Conan like vibe going on here, which you guys mentioned already. For me, like, I totally got a Tick vibe from this as well, like the humor and the cartoon style, like is anybody a Tick fan on the creative side of it?
I love the Tick. I love the old cartoon, the live action show, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the old one.
Sam what's his name? Sam Worthington? Is that who does it? There.
For me though, I just like I felt so many Tick vibes coming out of this that I was like, oh, I'm loving this. The humor, just for me, there was a real fun like throwback to Tick for me.
Yeah, and that's something else that I've noticed is that different people who like pick it up and start reading through it, they're like, oh, I'm getting like this kind of vibe, or I'm getting this kind of vibe, and it's all things that I had either watched or read growing up, and so it was almost like a subconscious, thing pulling at me to write it like this or to have Chris draw it a certain way. And I'm sure the same thing happened to Chris, but just about every single thing that somebody mentions, like with you, whenever you mention you got a Tick vibe, well, yeah, we both watched the Tick, but neither one of us really discussed it while we were doing it.
Right, yeah.
But in the style, the art, the thick line work, like there's just something kind of, and again, the humor of it. I know that it's easy to get into the blood and action of it, which is phenomenal and super entertaining. But I found myself chuckling quite a lot. Like, I just love the fact that he's basically filled with arrows the entire time. Like, he's just like it's his costume is like all the arrows. Like there he is, right? The fan art section. Like
this fan art is incredible.
I love it. But it's just his appearance. Like he's just, I got arrows in me. It's just like wearing a jacket.
Yeah, I said in the show before. This cover, the second one is fantastic. I love to have a variant cover of this one. It's so good. But yeah, you totally see people's take on it. It's so cool with all the arrows in the back. Yeah. Always. I love the arrows. These are a lot.
Oh yeah. So while Chris was making the book, like we got this. Some guy made this for us. Let me shout him out. Jeff Kissinger.
I'll talk since we can't hear Ace.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Can we not hear? I can hear him.
I can hear you just fine.
You got him?
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's a guy up in Kansas City. He makes these. Usually they're like hockey figures. But he saw some stuff we had posted on Instagram, stuff like that, and then told Chris, hey, I got something for you if you want to come pick it up. And originally it did have arrows. You can see kind of where it was supposed to have arrows in the back. But that would be really hard to travel with that without them all snapping out.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we get cool stuff like that all the time. And all the fan art, I mean, a lot of that is just us saying, hey, can we get some art from you? And people are like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And some of the art that's coming up in issue 2 is phenomenal. And most of it was free.
Nice.
That is awesome.
So we got into some influences there. We got the Jason Aaron. We talked about that. And Chris, you like Ryan Otley, I assume Russell Dowderman.
Yes, big fans.
Symbiotic relationship there between those guys.
Right.
Tell us, what are your favorite runs that you guys are that you've like? What was like some of the arcs that made you? What made you choose to go into comics? Like what artist brought you to that? Say, I want to get that. Was it the Like for me, I tell people it's a Simonson Thor wasn't it. It was We've seen Silver Surfer 4, but it was the first comic book I ever got was actually the first Star Wars, and I got it as a gift. But the first one I ever bought myself was a Thor, and so it was kind of like, what was your favorite comic and everything else? What did you have? What brought you into comics?
So believe it or not, I came to comics quite late. Actually, I always like drew growing up and everything, but it was more like Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe. But the thing that really like blew me away, and I kind of already mentioned it, but I've only had like a few this is going to sound really maybe cheesy, but hopefully it sounds poetic or something. I've only had a few moments in my life where I've like looked at artwork and felt like overcome, like holy shit. I don't know if I can cut. Sorry about that. One of them is when I saw Michelangelo's David, and for the first time, and I'm like, seriously, I was like overcome. And another one was when I read Invincible for the first time, and the first big spread when Omni-Man and Invincible are fighting. It was like I was like short of breath for a second. I was like, what just happened? And so it like from there on, that has been my biggest influence by far. So like anytime I would continue to read that book, or there are so many moments in that book where I just felt like this overwhelming sense of artistic mastery, like particularly like the fight with Conquest, or like later on when Battle Beast and Thrag are fighting. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the book.
Oh,
but
yeah, we're like Kirkman's, and that's why.
Okay, but so
I think
so
White
those type of
that's
things,
just one of his favorites. So
yeah. But that's really that like thrust me into it, and then I started remembering. Oh, I used to read a lot of like the old X-Men stuff. I think that I read like Spawn a little bit back, like McFarlane's like very early Spawn.
Yep.
And then like Joe Madureira, I read a lot. Like I remember seeing that stuff and then getting back into it, and it kind of like brought me back. But I attribute everything to Ryan Ottley. Like he's my number one dude. And
the work he did with Spider-Man. Do you think it's? I think it's an underrated gift we got. You know,
I'm not familiar with the rating, to be honest, like because I'm not really in the comic world much, other than me looking at the art and trying to create it. So I think it's amazing. It's not. It doesn't quite bring me to that level of like awe that Invincible did, but it's more. It's more measured though, and I think that's part of it because it's for kids, you know.
Yeah, the one thing I do say about Invincible, the first time I read anything like when I first got Invincible, I did compare it to like a rated R cartoon, like a rated R version, violent, like an old school horror movie that you watch when you were in slumber parties, where you watched at night, but the following morning, Saturday morning, it was the cartoons you watched, bringing that back, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's how I compare it to that. So
that's what would happen if you chopped the Ninja Turtles arm off? What would be underneath there?
Yeah. Exactly. Ace, what was your not just what was your foray into comics?
So we used to have a grocery store that was right up the street from our house, and so I hated grocery shopping with my parents, and they had like a little book corner. So while they went and shopped, I'd hang out in the book corner, and I have the memory of sitting there and picking up like the first issue of Maximum Carnage. And I believe isn't that the one where he's like reaching over New York City and everything's like on fire. And so I have the memory of buying that book because I was like, this is amazing. I need to read more. And then me and my dad used to wake up every Saturday morning and we'd watch the Spider-Man cartoon and we'd watch the X-Men. And so that really kind of brought me into that world too. My dad's a huge reader. And so I read all of his, fantasy books. I started out with like Lord of the Rings and moved on to like Stephen King and the Gunslinger, and then Dragon Riders of Pern and Drizzt, or the Legend of Drizzt. So the whole fantasy realm kind of tided me over for a while, and then I ran out of money because life happens, and so I kind of fell out of comics. And then I got back into it when there was all that drama about Jason Aaron turning Thor into a woman. And so I was like, all right, well, there's a comic book shop right down the street, so I'll just go check that out and see what it's about. If everybody's talking about it, it's got to be all right. So I picked that issue up, read it. I really enjoyed it. So I started diving back into the world, and I discovered Jeff Johns' run on Aquaman in the New 52. And then from there on out, I've been giving most of my paycheck to comic book stores.
Nice.
One of my favorite things about, when you hear about somebody who gets into the Jason Aaron version of Thor, for me, is that when God of Thunder went right into that storyline. And if you were a big fan of God of Thunder and you followed the next run, it is an absolute continuation arc.
Yeah, for sure.
The best segue to the next level, which was the best segue to what happened, and it just kept going. I think Jason Aaron's work on Thor is going to go down. I mean, it already is. It's its own entity because it's writer based. Most people don't talk about this, but Thor doesn't have the writer base. We've got so many people different. Dan Jurgens, everybody wrote for this thing. And consistency for Aaron to do it for, let's be honest, 6 years, 7 years in the making.
Yeah, like we mentioned before,
it's absolutely going to be the definitive Thor run for at least the next decade.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way.
I feel. I mean, I've read all the old Thors. I love Simonson's run. That's like the big one. I guess you compare with an arc with a character. I mean, obviously Kirby's in there, but they were taking more shorter stories, especially their old Journey into Mysteries are different. And the Thor is up until about 160, 165. Then you get when you start getting into the Galactus storyline, that's Thor's best storyline from the beginning. And that took a long time. But what Jason did with this, and a lot of it being consistently, using the same artist, Isaac Ribic, for every one of God of Thunder. And then when he switched over, was Russell Downeman for every single one.
And I love the Unworthy Thor. I think that's a real valuable 5-issue connective piece for that.
I've got it all framed right back there. The Unworthy Thor.
Oh, nice.
So good.
It's fantastic.
And one of the you've got that artist writer connection, the lengthy time that they've been together. And then you got Russell Downeman took over right there, and then the two guys that he worked with, and that's something that I kind of see, is the most important thing that I think. Let's be honest, Cates' best work is when Stegman's drawing for him.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, Stegman was lights out on that Absolute Carnage issue 1.
I mean, Cates is from Venom, the whole Venom run to. I mean, Cullen did a great job filling in for him during War of the Realms and stuff. But Cates was Cates. I mean, Cates and Stegman had a great run with that and introducing all these characters that he brings into everything else. And Cates' best work is when Stegman's there. And I think vice versa. It helps out. I think it's we should probably, segue into the next part. Let's talk a little bit about you came up with Magnus. You had the idea, the barbarian character. You had the storyline now. I don't want you to spoil anything or tell me, spoiler to anything else like this. Do you see this character as a anti-hero, a Conan style, hero, or more like your, I don't know, Khazar, Katmandi kind of? I mean, what are we going with here? We got an apocalyptic world, right?
Well,
I'm having. Sorry, I don't think I can hear Ace right now, but I'll try to talk here for a sec.
Okay, go for it.
To your question, not to spoil it, you hit right on the main spoiler of the overall arc. But let's just say he's definitely a hero. He's a good guy, and it is a post-apocalyptic world. We're just going to kind of follow him through some trials and tribulations, right? So from issue 1, we met his new friend Percy, the giant Cyclops. That guy would be kind of our example of like a pure good. And he, if you liked him, which he seems to be a fan favorite of most readers, you'll see him kind of, and his influence sort of reoccurring with Magnus. Magnus is kind of like a silent vessel. Another big influence was like Samurai Jack. So the idea being that you like follow this quiet character through the world, and then you can kind of put your own sort of whatever. You can put your own stuff on this character. He's going to have some funny one-liner quips here and there, but essentially it's like a vessel for the reader to travel through this world. And he's going to have a lot of input. He'll have good inputs, he'll have bad inputs, etc. as we go. But yeah, Ace, you could take it further than that. You're the mastermind behind the remaining arc, and I'll just pretend like I can hear you.
So what we really wanted this whole thing to be was we were going to do the 6 issues, and then we have more planned after that. But we really want like any other sort of writers and artists to be able to jump into this world and kind of write an offshoot if they want to. Like we have Magnus planned out for 6 issues, and then it gets a little hazy after that. I've got 3 issues of a Percy comic already locked and loaded, ready to go. So we talked about the Berserker Rage. His eyes start glowing blue. That's going to be kind of a main string that flows through these comics as we're figuring out what it is, why it's there, why he has it, why doesn't anybody else have it. General Gorath, the guy with the giant horns, why is his red? He mentioned,
by the way.
Yeah.
He just looks like a Gorath. You know?
Yeah. we tried to have as much fun with
a cartoon villain right there. You know?
And coming up with like crazy names is a lot harder than I thought it would be. So all these characters,
damn, Superman's taken.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, well, this sounds too much like this one over here, so we can't use that. But yeah, we went through and we wanted this to just be as open of a world as possible. We have a mainline story, but we wanted other things to be able to attach itself. We don't want to be like, oh, nobody else can play in this pool. We want as many people to come in and do their thing, as long as it doesn't like screw up what we're doing, obviously. Right. But yeah, that's kind of the driving force behind what we're doing.
Very cool. I do like the creator-owned realm now. Actually, I do get quite a bit of Kickstarters, and a lot of them are waiting to get on here. I've got a few of them, and this one here was one I was very grateful. As soon as it came out, right away, bang! And by the time I did it, which was like early, it already hit the first level. I was like, wow,
yeah,
everybody's waiting for this one. And I do talk about it because it was at Omaha Con. I was talking to some people, and I said, well, did you see that one that Magnus the Brave? And because I saw this character and he was kind of into it, like kind of looked like the Street Fighter guy, which this kind of looks like, you know, that what's his name, that Street Fighter guy, the one from, you know, that Street Fighter dude,
Zangief, the Russian guy,
the Russian dude. They built like him in a way, and I guess that's what the guy was. I said, man, you put a sword on you and borrow some stuff from the Lord of the Rings or the Game of Thrones people, and you could totally be Magnus the Brave. And he's like, oh, what's that? And I told him this book. He goes, oh, wait a second, hang on. And the guy over there had 1 or 2 of them. He was like, yeah, I was. And he was like, I said, where'd you get this one? He goes, I just got him in. I just picked him up from the local shop and brought it here for me. I said, oh, nice.
That's great.
It's fantastic.
So it's like 5 people that knew what it was, and then all of a sudden I say, this is going to be really interesting and how crazy it gets, because I saw this at Planet Comic-Con, but I see the following, and everybody really is waiting for this one, and I'm going to just show it here. For you want to read this one, the digital copy is good, but the paper copy has the Civil War shot, you know.
Yes,
villains,
that's right.
And there's your heroes over here. There's your Civil War movie poster here.
So,
20 cartoon characters.
So to commemorate this, here, give me just a second, and I'll show you what I had made.
Definitely, that's
nice.
what we were going for.
Wait just a second.
Well, and Chris, I want to compliment you too. I know it's hard sometimes to blend old and new, and the whole idea of a post-apocalyptic world and old style tech and new style tech. I thought it came out really cool visually.
Thank you very much. Another influence is so I played some video games, or I did a lot more before I had kids, and Borderlands is one of my favorite games ever.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
And so mix that with Borderlands mixed with Conan the Barbarian. I
love the Conan stuff. I'm a huge, you know, everybody knows there's too much Conan around, so it's good. Nice.
I'm curious to see what you guys do with Portal the Clown. Spoilers. I know he passed to this issue, but it seems like he has powers because Portal the Clown. So I figured maybe there's more of them. More of him.
Yeah.
He can do
Strange one,
time
right?
travel. There's a lot of things you can do, and I like how looks like it seems like the villain that got crushed was one that says his body wasn't it didn't matter. He was more like a vessel of this evil energy.
Right.
That was maybe put there by another higher force or something, and maybe that's what's going on with Magnus as well. So I'm it's really curious to see what's going to happen in this battle of good and evil.
It's also one of those. You guys introduced characters that I would say I really want to know the backstory of everybody you've introduced, because some of these people are really messed up.
Faceless Nick.
People are really, really messed up, and it's really good. It's really good. I want to know the backstory of not just Magnus. I just this. He's such a nice guy, and he's
Percival. Yeah.
It's like, what's going on with these guys? This is good, but I love the stuff at the beginning. And actually, I took a picture of Jason Aaron holding your book. Did you see that? Ever see that copy?
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was on my website. So here, this is Jason Aaron. So hold this up. So very cool.
Well, thanks for saying all that. It's really nice to have attentive readers like yourselves. I shouldn't say I never, but I haven't had people who aren't my inner circle of friends and family that have actually discussed it. So this is quite a thrill to have, you guys who know what you're talking about, who I haven't really met, talking about the intricacies of this plot. That's making me really excited.
Yeah, I mean, if you, we all read comics, we all have our favorites, and we all have our dislikes and stuff like that. But we all have our own way of I mean, I'm more definitely different than John. I don't collect. He's big into the X-Men world. He likes that stuff, and Jason is much more into Batman than I'll ever be. But I'm more into Thor and Silver Surfer and some weird shit like Cullen Bunn's crazy shit. Like Bone Parish and Empty Man and all that.
Bone Parish is great.
So
Yeah,
great. Now these guys are we're Kansas, Omaha, Kansas City. We've got in our area, we've got Dennis Hopeless, which is his stage name, but Dennis, you've got these guys, you've got Jason Aaron's home bases, Kansas City, actually right by the brewery, literally 6 blocks away from the brewery.
Yep.
And then you got
Kyle Strom is down there.
Kyle Strom, you got Cullen Bunn, all within this area of 2 hours over there. And you have some old timers in here. We've got Bob Hall,
Neil Adams.
Neil Adams comes over here all the time. Yeah, he's down there. But we have all these guys that are from this area that are just that live here, that are, and that's why there's these local small little cons. Sometimes you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've been following kind of Jason Aaron, and he's been popping up at he was down at Mammoth in Tulsa. He popped up in just some random little comic book shop and did an impromptu signing there. I mean, they just show up wherever. Kyle Strom's been making his rounds for Unearthed, and he's just been hitting absolutely every single comic book store he sees. So it's amazing how it feels like back in the day before we had Instagram and stuff like that. They were over there doing their thing, and you only got to see them at cons. But now, I mean, who knows who you're going to see and when you're going to see them, where you're going to see them.
Yeah, do you guys have any plans to hit more cons this year? I know that there's a whole bunch of the Comic Corps going to Baltimore. I don't know if you guys are going to be around.
Traveling that far is a little difficult. We've got a nice little con in Wichita that we're going to do. I've already got my booth. Hit Planet. It kind of sucks that they haven't had Kansas City Comic-Con in a while. But if they get that back going up, I'm sure we'll be there. And hopefully we made a concerted effort on this time around to really focus in on comic book stores. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to get into comic book shops, especially when you mention a Kickstarter, because they've been screwed over before. They don't want to invest that kind of money on something that might take 2 years to come out.
Sure.
And really all we can do is say, no, we promise it'll come out sooner. But I mean, I think we've got 6 of them on there now. And then last time we had 8, but one of them was like Chris's aunt accidentally clicked the wrong one.
Hey, ants are a big part of this, right? If Chris's aunt is supporting, then we got to be all about it.
Yeah. So, we're in comic book shops from, I think we're up in Minnesota, all the way down through Kansas. So, it's just a lot of love and support coming out from some of these comic book shops.
We're real happy you spent the time with us here. And again, Chad, if you can throw up that Kickstarter again up there so everybody can do it, or White Whale, if you can share that easy way to click on it from here, that'd be great. Thanks.
I should also probably say that if you are new to it, thank you guys for the exposure here. One of the tiers is that you can get both issues 1 and 2 for like basic retail price. So you can get caught up if this sounds interesting.
Yeah. That's cool.
And there's some great tiers. Like I said earlier, there's some fun stuff. I forget which one I did one where it was like you get your name in it, but you get the hardcover or something. I forget what it was. I don't know.
We'll make sure to put the link also in the video description. So once the video is done, people come back, click the link. You can see it easily, get it easily from there, and also make sure to comment too, and then tell them what's up or see what you thought too, and also let us know who you want us to try to interview next to as well. So it's always a good time.
We have they are at the Comic Den. Do we have I had your logo. This Chris Rao, the Comic Den right here. There's the logo right there. The Comic.
There we go.
On Instagram, you'll always catch them on there. You can get a lot of information on the Kickstarter. It's gonna print. It's what you say, it was a couple of times over. You've already hit your printing levels and everything.
Yeah, we only needed like $1,800 to print. We're well above 3,000. So
awesome.
We're doing pretty well.
Congratulations! That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck to you guys. And again, everybody, if you want, check out that Kickstarter and everything going. I know, John, you've got another show to do in a little bit, don't you?
Yep.
You've got a new copy. What book are you doing tonight?
We're doing an image book, Reaver, issue 1 and 2.
Okay. Interesting. Who's the author and artist on that one?
Oh, man, now you're messing with me. Come on.
Man. That's what we got to do.
It's Justin Jordan and Rebecca Isaacs.
Oh,
this was issue 2 that dropped today.
Yeah, that cover's great.
And then issue 1 had that like crazy awesome cover too. Just it's a lot of they're setting up the characters in the story.
All right, Jason, what do you got going on?
I believe Sunday I have the S&B network. So S ampersand B. We have a show on there called Comicast. It's kind of like Unlimited, where we talk about like what we read the whole entire week. But we have more thorough kind of specialized reviews assigned, and then and other like comic book news as well. So it's very similar to Unlimited. And then Monday, so we have Story Comic Core here on the Comic Core channel. And I'm not sure what we'll be going over what we're doing that week on Monday, but we'll find out soon. But yeah, there's always something going on here in Comic Core, something different every show. And JD, you got the Golden Guys, are always fantastic. I love seeing you guys. So I'm sure you'll go into that soon, but yeah.
Very cool. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching Golden Guys last night. And of course, Unlimited tonight. Golden Guys was a lot of fun last night. We showed some amazing Alex Schoenberg art. We showed original art from Schoenberg, from Kirby. We had great guests. We all showed some old school LB Cole books, and we're big into. I'm a big Golden Age guy, so I like a lot of the old stuff. There's some around here somewhere. So I have coming up is I have the defense of this. Let's get. I am the hunt champion right now, and I'm going to put it out there right there. That's the belt that everybody wants. It's it right here, JD Flair. Woo! I do not have my robe handy right now. It's on some lady's floor who took a ride on Space Mountain. I don't know. Ric Flair right there. But that's the we'll be doing Ric Flair on Friday night. I'll be Ric Flair on Tony Sanders' The Hunt, defending my title against of all people, CW Punk himself, Steve Woodard, newsstand himself. Every comic has to be a newsstand.
Very nice.
So that's what I got going on. Okay, I'll leave it up to Ace and Chris. You guys want to say anything one last bit before we sign off?
Go for it, Chris.
I would say if you're interested in Magnus, please support us. We're going to make this thing go until it's done, and it's a lot of fun. If you want to follow me for any of my art or anything, it's at Mr. Rao Art on Instagram, or you can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty active on those things. Other than that, Ace, take it away. And thank you for having me, by the way.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you guys can
Yeah,
find
awesome
me
having
at the Comic Den. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm pretty sporadic with my YouTube posts. I try to post at least one thing a month. I do like a monthly reads where I just kind of fly through some stuff. I also do just a show where it's kind of like a book club where me and a friend sit down and we discuss a trade. So check that out. See if you like it. Again, if you want the comic book, just go on there. I think we still have one tier left where Chris will draw Magnus killing you. And if you're not into violence, he can teach you how to play pool, or you guys can go swimming together or whatever.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's so good.
Yeah, but yeah, I thank you guys. I just want to, give a shout out to you guys for letting us come up here and talk about our book for an hour.
It's been a
I think it was
pleasure. So awesome.
Pleasure. Everybody enjoyed it. A lot of guys in the chat were saying how great they enjoyed it. They're looking forward to supporting some Magnus fans too. So, Drew Manchu, thanks a lot for joining us. Do you want to shout out the chat one last time, or is White Whale's waiting for you to?
Yeah, he's waiting for me, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of awesome people in the chat. Conquistadorks, thank you for coming by. Boy Who Had 7, awesome folks.
Great. Thank you guys very much again. Again, this is Comic Core Unlimited. Don't forget, Comic Core Up the Rails on Friday night. Thanks again to Chris and Ace. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
And we should be